因為伊 compromise 妥協。
because they compromise.
你看這個女真水，
They look at this woman, she's very
因為真
beautiful.
真水，
Because she's very beautiful,
伊放下伊家己嘅信仰。
and he let go of his own belief.
有人唔是為咗婚姻，有人唔是為咗愛情，
Some people, it's not for the reason of marriage or love affair.
有人為咗金錢放下家己嘅信仰，
Some people would abandon their faith because of money.
有人是為咗權力 authority power 放下家己嘅信仰
For。some people, they would abandon their faith because of power and authority.
無論什麼原因，
Regardless of any reason
這個
that
人
one may
有
have,
當將家己嘅信仰放落嚟，
if he's going to abandon his faith,
這個人決定一生都係一個失敗嘅人。
and this person will surely or be destined to failure in his entire life.
參孫是一個真正清楚嘅提示，
And Samson is a very clear reminder for us.
叫做幫助人，
May the Lord God help
唔單係
us
信仰頂面失敗，
that we would be failing in the area of faith.
唔單係信仰頂面嚟妥協。
We should not compromise in the area of faith.
有時我都係真最困難嘅代志，
Sometimes we do encounter a lot of difficult things,
但是無價物件比咱嘅信仰更加寶貴。
but there's nothing more important and precious than our faith.
咱嘅信仰若失去，
If we lost our faith,
咱頭前嘅路就老行老黑暗。
and then the road before us will become darker and darker.
這是參孫互咱一個真正清楚嘅代志。
And this is what Samson taught us, something that is quite
第
clear.
二，
Second,
參孫這個人喺祈禱中間是非常軟弱嘅人。
Samson is a person who's quite weak in the area of a prayer.
喺聖經裏面14章到16章記載參孫嘅生平嘅時陣，
In the Bible, chapters 14 to 16 records the entire life of Samson.
三章聖經只記載參孫祈禱能敗。
In these 3 chapters, there was only a record of 2 incidents of his prayer,
頭一擺是15章18節，
and the first can be found in chapter 15, verse 18.
參孫真吹打，就求告耶和華講：你竟然接到你嘅僕人嘅手，施行很多嘅拯救，咁咪通我打死呢？落入未受割嘅人嘅手中間呢？
Because he was very thirsty, he cried out to the Lord, "You have given your servant this great victory. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of the
呢
uncircumcised?"
度祈禱，
And so he prayed.
上帝何者嘅頭殼有水吐出嚟，
And God caused the ground to burst out water.
這係參孫頭一擺嘅祈禱。
And that was the first prayer of Samson.
第16章28節。
In chapter 16, verse 28,
參孫求告耶和華講：主耶和華，求你關顧我，上帝啊，求你賜我這一擺嘅快樂，讓我哋佢哋所人嘅成就，補我生人嘅目睭嘅潮。
then Samson prayed to the Lord, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes."
這是參孫第二擺嘅祈禱。
This is the second prayer of Samson.
這陣參孫已經係一個痴迷嘅人，
Because at this point, Samson was already
伊
blind.
特別死嘅時
He
陣，
was about to die.
求上帝讓伊落每一擺嘅快樂，
And he sought the Lord that he would be given the last moment of strength,
甲佢哋所人同歸於盡。
that he would die together with the Philistines.
參孫這個人啊，
This person,
一
Samson,
生竟有記載兩擺嘅祈禱那啲啊，
only recorded 2 incidents of prayer.
但係可能唔拿這兩擺啦。
Maybe it's more than this twice.
但係蒙上帝紀念只有兩擺。
But then only these 2 incidents were recorded and remembered by our God.
第19章嘅時陣，
In chapter 15,
上帝借着參孫，
God through Samson
著自己骨頭，
took up this jawbone
將1000人嘅非利士勇士隆中拍死，
and struck down 1,000 Philistine warrior.
唔是著刀啊，
He did not use knife,
著骨頭
but rather he used this jawbone
拍死1000嘅男嘅，唔是女嘅，唔是囡仔。
and killed 1,000 men, not women and not children.
你講以馬俊起上嚟拍真係使得真係緊張嘅時陣，
You can imagine that it was a very exciting and very tense battle.
拍死一個人哦，是真冇容易啊！
To kill just one person is indeed not easy.
拍死1000嘅人哦，是更加辛苦嘅代志。
And it's of course more tiresome to kill 1,000
後
persons.
邊參孫拍啊真善真吹打，
So we can observe that Samson had really killed all this person and became very hungry and thirsty.
跟啊拍死人嘅吹打，
How come you will be thirsty when you killed someone?
就係發嚟發去咯啊！
Because you are shouting while
死
you're
啦
killing.
死啦死啦！哇死啊死啊死啊死啊死啊！
You're shouting, kill, kill,
所
kill.
以我死啊真多人，
And so many people died.
所以講緊拍了以後，規人真善，個真吹打，
So after killing all this person, he was very tired and he was also very thirsty.
你就祈禱咯。
And so he prayed.
你講上帝啊，
He says, Dear
我
God,
也吹打，
I'm very
我也
thirsty.
善，
I'm very
我
tired.
啉水，
Please give me water.
臨時我係死咯。
Otherwise, I will die.
上帝聽下伊嘅祈禱，
And God heard his prayer.
水就出嚟啦。
And so water came out.
第二班嘅祈禱咧，
And the second time prayer,
即係三信已經互人條機頭毛尖機目照已經刮出嚟咯。
as his hair was cut off and also his eyes were gog out.
路尾即係三信是前面嘅三信。
And later on, this Samson has already became blind.
我先咪就為這個真大嘅感傷，感觸。
And I also have this intense feeling about this.
我點解同你講這句話？唔知你記得未？
I don't know if you remember, I said this before.
三信這個人我是誇一個愛一個，誇一個愛一個，誇一個愛一個。
This person, Samson, loves every woman that he meets. He see one, he loves one.
這叫做眼目嘅情慾
This is uncontrolled lust,
，the lust of the
the
eye。
lust of the eyes.
上帝有什麼辦法解決這個問題？
So how can we resolve this problem?
上帝將你目睭挑出嚟，
God gog out his eyes
讓你目睭無通看。
so that you don't have eyes to see.
這個是個辦法，但係真可憐嘅辦法。
This is the only way, and yet this is a very painful way.
你又叫做幫襯人啊！
So may the Lord God help us.
上帝嘅辦法當然唔是特別很盡念，
Of course, the ways of the Lord are not always that cruel at all
但係
times.
三信和目睭無將目睭獻我上帝嚟去應。
But then Samson has his eyes, but then he does not offer his eyes to for God to use.
好家嘅目睭充滿着目睭嘅情慾。
And he caused his own eyes to be lustful.
如果你目睭留喺呢個世界有什麼內容？
And so to keep these eyes to remain in this world is already
就
useless.
你講好，敵人將嘅目睭剔出嚟。
And so God caused his enemies to take
你
out
今
his
是常
eyes.
困，
We are also like
你
that.
嗱有
isn't it?
手冇為上帝嘅追更，
We have hands and yet we do not allow the Lord God to use our hands to
你
work.
嘅手有什麼內容？
So what's the use of our hands?
你有吹及為上帝超掛，冇去超掛，你嘅吹有什麼內容？
We have mouth to sing praises to God and yet we refuse to. So what's the use of our mouth?
上帝能雕位聰明，冇去應，冇去為上帝追更，咁你雕位聰明有什麼內容？
So God has given us wisdom and also intelligence and yet we refuse to use them for the Lord. So what's the use of this all?
你記得，
So remember
你嗱冇
this.
不為上帝嘅應，
If you are not willing to let God use it,
世界在此頭嘅應，
the world will make use of it.
撒旦在此頭嘅應，
And Satan is going to make use of it.
但係叫做幫襯人，
But may the Lord God
好
help
撚無
us
上帝所應。
that we will allow God to use us.
就深信正更高嘅時陣，
When Samson was in the midst of his
佢第二
trouble,
擺及上帝祈禱，
for the second time he prayed to the Lord.
上帝啊，紀念我嘅需要，
He says, Oh Lord God, remember
紀
my
念我嘅
needs.
規律，
Give me strength.
好我路尾一擺嘅規律，
Give me the last time of strength
好我去報仇。
that I can revenge.
結果上帝我聽這個祈禱，
And yet God heard this last prayer.
可以重新有規律，
That once again he was given power and
及
strength.
沙真嘅非利士殺到死了。
That he would die together with 3,000 Philistine men.
你睇深信喺以色列最數數20年，
You know, Samson was a judge in Israel for 20 years.
20年裏面我冇相信只叫到能敗啦。
I believe that in the midst of these 20 years, he just prayed for 2 times.
但係上帝紀念嘅祈禱實在只有能敗咯。
But rather, God only remembered twice of his
你
prayers.
知咩原因噃？
Do you know what's the reason
或者
behind?
深信很少祈禱噃？
How come Samson prayed very little?
因為深信是 the most powerful judges，
因為 Samson si Teo Biang Yak ay susu.
就是很簡單。
That's
這個人
simple.
真正 powerful，真正有規律。
Because he is so powerful.
千朝瓜呢個嘅人，咁需要祈禱。
Just like a person like me would still need to pray.